you get default judgment. If they do defend, you'd get summary judgment. So get a judgment, right? Now, if it's a default judgment, this normally gets listed against the tenant's profile, right? Rightfully so. The tenant owed money. The tenant didn't pay the money. You're now informing the credit bureaus that the tenant didn't pay money, so he's been in default. So other people that are going to give this tenant money, or any relationship the tenant gets into, they need to be aware that there has been a scenario where the tenant has defaulted. That's the point of these listing requirements. Now, with these listing requirements, what happens is, at a certain point in time, if the tenant does come right and realizes that he has to pay you, he will approach you and he will pay his debt. But just in case the tenant doesn't approach you, it is listed, meaning that if he ever tries to obtain credit elsewhere, he will now realize that there is still a judgment against him and that he has to satisfy that judgment before he will actually be given credit. So this is one very long-term solution to collecting rent. It's not running in there with a share of paying costs, because you can go after furniture, you can go after whatever you need to go, salaries, but more often than not, you find that there is nothing to go after. So all you're simply doing is putting yourself in the queue and waiting. So that is a solution. We normally suggest that at a minimum, simply because there's a chance, small, but there's a chance that in future, at some point in time, you will collect rent. From time to time, what we sometimes do advise, especially with larger amounts, is that maybe you attend a property, you do a search, you see if this former tenant has found employment or where they're staying, so that you can reassess the situation. If you find that they have found their feet, you can always approach them, negotiate with them, and try settle the debt. But it is completely up to you on whether you simply stop at default judgment or take further steps after that. But again, there should never be a promise that the debt will be collected.